All right, our guest, a rising star from the film with an impressive IMDb before and after his role in Tenet. This guy is grinding. Let me take a quick breath so I can get these out. All right, he has been in Hawaii Five-O series SWAT, New Amsterdam, 13 Reasons Why, Ballers, Murder in the First, HBO's Looking, and more films than we could mention without this intro feeling awkwardly long. So without further introduction, welcome John Orantes. How are you doing today, John?
I'm good, man. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate you guys.
I know we appreciate you. We're surprised you had time in between the IMDb. It looks like your IMDb is actually updating as we speak. They said updates like every other day, so we're definitely thrilled to have you on here. But man, we did some digging on you. So first and foremost, I'm an actor myself. We're filmmakers and everything. So definitely,
Awesome.
we appreciate you doing what you do, and that's why we want to have you on. We make it a goal to have really passionate people who care about their craft on the show. So we appreciate you joining us today. Now, one of the things we usually do is try to do a little research on our guests. And one of the things we looked at on your Facebook page, you talked about how most people, they minimize their success by they look, let's say, 5 days in the past rather than looking what they should do is look 5 years in the past and then ask themselves, where do I want to be 5 years from now? So let me ask you this. So since we're here real time and we're talking Tenet, where were you 5 years ago? Where are you now? And what do you want to be 5 years going forward?
Right. Five years ago, I was working as a bellman at a hotel in San Francisco, doing background work, student films, little local short films. Nothing major, but definitely trying to get my feet wet in the industry and try to figure out how the whole thing works, how the whole process of filmmaking. And looking forward to now, like it's pretty crazy. It's like it's a game changer for sure. One day I'm sitting at the hotel telling people, hey, I want to act and I'm going to move to LA. And they're sitting there like, John, you've been saying you're going to LA for 2 years. Like, come on, man, we'll believe it when we see it. And then, the day comes and I'm like, all right, Friday's my last day. I'm moving to LA and I made the jump. It was scary, but I had to do it. And once I got here, it was just foot to the pedal. And, and it's really hard sometimes because I fall into that trap too, of the whole, oh, I did an audition last week, I didn't get it, or this, and that. But what have you done in the last 6 months? What have you done in the last year? What have you done in the last couple of years? Like nothing happens overnight. It's going to take time. It takes hard work. It's not just one and done. So looking at the big picture, looking at the wider range of what has happened rather than, the few shortcomings in the last couple of weeks or whatnot, those don't really make up the big picture.
So your first IMDb credit is the Vince Vaughn Owen Wilson movie, The Internship.
Shout out
Yeah.
Google.
Was that your first time on set?
Yeah, that was my very first time on a project. It was pretty intimidating to see the whole setup and everything. It's interesting to actually. It was another big eye opener was that the part of the process of filmmaking is that these productions have such a big budget sometimes that they can completely eliminate aspects out of a film. So the scene that I did was a arcade scene at Pier 39 in San Francisco, and they, if you've seen the final movie, they replaced that entire scene, and we were there for 13 hours filming that scene. They replaced that entire scene with the strip club scene in the film, which I actually thought turned out pretty hilarious. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was crazy just being there, seeing the whole setup, how people work. Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson, being huge fans of them and watching, Wedding Crashers and a lot of his films in the early thousands. Vince was killing it. And so leading up to that point, it was just it was hard to kind of be in the moment and without the whole excitement of, being there. But um, I used I used that as my opportunity to ask as many questions as I could and learn, okay, what are the different job descriptions on a film set? Who does what? What's your job? What's your job? What are you doing? Some people would get annoyed and be like, hey, kid, I ain't got time to talk right now, because they're busy. And I get it. At the time, you're new, you're young. But yeah, that's the number one thing I will say as far as doing background work and starting out. Use that time, get off Instagram, get off your phone, use that time to stay alert and learn, okay, what's everybody's job description? What are they doing? So that you know how a film set operates if this is an industry you want to be in. That way you're ahead of the game and you really know, okay, this is what's happening.
Clearly you took what you learned there, and I believe in 2013, from what we looked at, you got your first speaking role in Repatriation. So I mean, now your voice has been heard. First you went from being on, as they call, the cutting room floor, but now your voice is being heard, like you say, throwing your name back into the hat. Tell us about that. How'd that come, and how did that feel?
I actually got Repatriation through a Skype audition, which was a process I didn't even think existed, because I was like, everything to me, I thought everything was in person. But it was cool. It was once again intimidating. You know, I for a very long time I struggled with being shy, and a lot of people are thinking, well, how are you an actor if you're shy? And it's like, well, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. I mean, that's what makes people, that's part of being a good performer, is being able to hide that. But I still have some of that, but I've definitely broken out of my shell. And with that project, I definitely struggled, for sure. You know, showing up, I didn't have my lines memorized, showing up to set, and it was just I'll just say it wasn't a learning experience mostly, but it was definitely a fun experience, because, you know, I got to see the process as far as, you know, changing roles. Now I'm not somebody walking by in the background. I actually have more responsibility. I'm actually interacting. I'm actually creating a moment. So learning that process definitely propelled me for the next thing, for sure.
So I want to skip all the way ahead to a film you were in recently. It's in post-production right now. It's coming soon from Focus Features, which is one of my favorite distributors. Like, usually anything they put out is going to be awesome. So it's Boogie. Can you tell us a little bit about that, what it was like working with Eddie Huang?
That was actually pretty awesome. I'm not sure how much I can say about it, but as far as the process, it was pretty exciting to be there and see him work. He's unlike anybody I've worked with so far. He's just full of energy. The guy's just always having a good time. You know, anytime there's a moment to you know, crack a joke, that's what he's doing. He's making everybody laugh, and it's just good vibes. You know, it might have been a little stressful for him, being his first project of, you know, being a director on his first project like that. So there was a lot of maybe some heat coming down from, you know, timelines and whatnot, and getting stuff done. But as far as the atmosphere, it was thrilling. You know, he's just full of energy and just a good dude all around.
Let me ask you a question. You've worked with a lot of actresses, actors, you know, gaffers, whatever. Just, do you have any stories that you can share for our show? Any cool stories that people may not know, you know, not about anybody in particular, but just like any cool stories from working with all these different people, like behind the scenes or anything like that?
Yeah, we saw a picture of you with Tay Diggs. That was pretty cool.
Wake up, Snowflake.
Tay was dope. He was a cool dude. I will say, one of the stories, I wouldn't even know if it's a story, but I would say one of the experiences that I would say is working on Tenet. One of the coolest parts of that production, I mean, obviously the experience was amazing and I'll never forget it. But one of my favorite parts was at the end of every filming day was the drive back to the hotel, which was an hour-and-a-half drive from set. So in the car, I would be with Aaron Taylor Johnson, John David Washington, sometimes Matthew Marsden. A couple times I was in the car with Robert Pattinson, and we'd hop in the SUV, all of us together, and we'd be an hour-and-a-half drive. Depending on the type of shoot we did that day, sometimes we'd be exhausted and we just lights out the whole ride. And then sometimes we'd sit there and chat it up the whole ride. And most of the time I was kind of, you know, out of the conversation just so I could observe. I like to observe a lot. I like to sit back and just watch. Sometimes I would jump in, but that was a cool experience because I got to really learn. I really got to learn what it's like to be good people, you know, and be around good people. I mean, Aaron Taylor Johnson, he's a father. So he'd get in the car, he'd hop on the phone with his wife, talk to his kids about how their day at school went, you know, like seeing that and, you know, seeing just how these guys interact, the stories they talk about, their experiences in the industry, where they started, what they've been through. John talked about football a little bit. Like, it was just cool being able to get an inside peek at, you know, how these guys, you know, carry themselves as men and as fathers. And that was really like, okay, you know,
You were on the Red Squad, thus me representing for the Red Squad today.
Hey.
I see you out there, you know.
There you
So,
go. There you go.
tell us what's that like, because again, they don't tell you everything on set. I mean, even most of the actors didn't even really get a hold of the script, so you guys are only really being given direction. What it's like being out there seeing the Blue Squad, the Red Squad. What's that whole experience like? How long were you guys on set for a total, and what was that whole experience like?
And follow up on these rides home or back to the hotel. At any point, did anybody in the car just break the silence and be like, all right, what the hell's going on? Because I saw the movie in chronological, or what was supposed to be chronological order. As chronological as you can get with Tenet, but I imagine with the shooting, you're all over the place with the production, so you're getting it even more disjointed. And I read that even John David Washington said that he's not even fully sure what's happening in it, and there's so many theories. So
yeah, I'm right there with you to this day. It's very confusing. I mean, I gotta watch it more than once. I'm gonna go back and see it soon.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of people. I've heard. I saw an article yesterday. Someone said they saw it 6 times already,
And they're still wondering what's going on.
Right.
Probably.
It's crazy because real quick, I'll say when I watched Inception recently, and I think that that movie's going on 10 years now, and and I'm still, every time I watch it, I'm still like, oh, I didn't catch that the first time. So I think that's exactly what's going on here, if not more so. But yeah, when I got to set, all I knew was my lines. As far as storyline, nada. As far as I didn't even know John was the main character. You know what I'm saying? Like, I knew he was in it. I knew he was a big part of it, but I mean, he was the only one that I knew was a part of it. Then I get to set and I find out Rob's in it, and all these other amazing artists, Aaron, I'm finding out all these other people are in it. So I really didn't even know the full cast. I didn't know the storyline. All I knew was my involvement. And I just thought to myself, okay, how am I going to make this work? How am I going to fit into the storyline? Where are things going? What happened before this? It was very confusing, but also very exciting at the same time, because it's like, all right, this is your time to shine. This is your time to prove what can you do. You know what I'm saying? Can you make this work, or is your portion going to be completely 180 from everything else that's going up until this point? So it's kind of like, it's a mind game, but yeah, nobody gets the script. I mean, the leads probably get the script for a limited amount of time, right? I read that Rob was locked into a room, not necessarily locked, but isolated in a room by himself. Can't leave with the script. I got to keep the script here. But yeah, Chris's process is ridiculous. It's awesome though, because you see how things turn out, but it's just to think of how everything pieces together. It's pretty insane.
So how long were you on production with Tenet? What was it like working with Christopher?
I was there 2.5 weeks. Working with him was intimidating because he's Chris, but he's a good dude. He's a cool dude. But he knows the thing about him, the thing that makes him so intimidating, obviously, it's not just his status as of who he is, but he knows what he wants, right? And he has it planned out years in advance. So you get to set, there's no like, okay, maybe I want this, maybe that. There's no confusion. There's no delays. We're going to get it done, and that's it, So that's the cool thing, was knowing that everything was just structured and everything was in line, and everybody on set knew their job, and he kept everyone, on point.
Well, as they say, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. I can definitely tell you that.
I saw that he was putting this together in his head, at least mentally, for like 2 decades, and then worked on fleshing out the script for like 6 years. So yeah, that's extra preparation.
Definitely. I was going to ask you about this before we let you go and wrap this up. Like I said, we like to do our research and know who we have on, and that's how we know you're so passionate about film, and we definitely wish you nothing but the best with your career. I was going to say, as far as everything you have going on now, what's coming up? Because I know me and him found out you were in a film that's in the festival right now, The Fringe of Existence, and this is going through festivals right now. So tell us about that and what else you have going on.
Yeah, Fringe was a short shot probably a couple of years back, and that was directed by Felipe Cisneros, and that one it's kind of a tricky one. It's another thriller, another mind bender. It's the process. the process with that one is there's one main character jumping from individual to another individual. So we're all of us in the cast are portraying this one person through different people. So it's kind of like I would say it's kind of like a mini Chris Nolan concept in a way, because it kind of gets you in your head and you're like, okay, who's who, what's going on? So that was a fun one. That one's, like you said, that one's actually circuiting right now.
So before we close out, just want to remind our viewers to keep an eye out for The Fringe of Existence. Keep an eye out for Boogie when that comes out with Focus Features.
Thank you for being one of our first guests on TTFT, man. We definitely appreciate it. The platform is growing. We're going to do right by you, make sure people can find you. And like I say, man, we enjoy the work. Keep it up, man.
Yeah. Okay, likewise. Thank you for having me. And you guys definitely keep working hard. And I plan to see more from you guys as well.
That's the trailer.